sư, tất cả mọi
Nam mô Sakyamuni Buddha.
kính thưa quý thầy, quý sư cô, kính toàn thể
Dear all
quý
teachers
đồng đạo
and
đồng
all
học trên lớp.
practitioners,
Và giờ này là buổi chiều ngày thứ Bảy,
um,
19
it's
tháng Chạp
Saturday
năm 2025.
afternoon, April 19, 2025.
Giờ
We continue with the topic.
tham thiền, không cho buông bỏ vọng tưởng, không cho trừ vọng tưởng.
Uh, we're not allowed to
Thì đối với các
get
vị
rid of the
chúng ta
illusionary thought when we
hay thấy
practice meditation.
vọng tưởng của mình nhiều phân
When we
biệt
practice, we tend to
liên tục
um,
bâng
realize a
khuâng
lot of
suốt
our illusory thoughts
nên chúng ta
and see that our practice
mời chúng
seems
ta
to be
tập
really
những
weak,
cái công
and
phu
we tend to
để
get
cho thấy
scared,
công phu của mình nó không có tiến bộ,
or when we
công phu
practice
mình nó
and we
không
feel
có
like our practice
tiến
does
bộ
not improve
liên tục
or
mà
doesn't seem to
trong
be
cái tâm
um,
thấy muốn hoàn thiện
continuous,
làm sao để dẹp
we
bỏ
tend to have to generate a thought that we want to find a
phiền
way
não
to get rid of the
nên cứ
illusory
hành bài
thoughts
não
or
như
afflictions,
vậy làm cho chúng ta cứ phập phồng lo
and
âu
that
không biết
that
đúng hay sai,
those thoughts
hay
make
quá
us feel
có hiệu
unease,
quả hay không,
unstable, and
đó
not
là
sure
chúng ta
that we are doing right or wrong,
luôn luôn
and whether
phải
this practice
nghĩ
will
ngợi
get us any result.
cứ ngợi đó
So those
để
obstacles
cho
are very common to a lot of
luôn luôn
practitioners.
tiền kiến thức luôn luôn nhắc ta cứ công phu
But
mà
the
không có
but
đem
our
tâm
patriots always remind
cứ việc công
um,
phu không
our
cần để
practitioners
ý
to
cái gì bất
keep
cái gì,
practicing, and
tại vì
instead of
cái
focusing on what to gain,
phân biệt nó luôn luôn á theo liền với ta từ vô lượng kiếp
we
cứ
have to
hay
know
cảm
that
thấy một bệnh mãn tính nó
illusions
luôn luôn
and
hiện tiền,
discrimination follow us
nên
from countless life.
mình quá thuần thục
They
với
become
nó
a chronic
phải
disease, and therefore
khi học Phật
we are
thấy
very familiar
đó là
with
vọng,
them.
đó là giặc, đó là luôn dẫn ta đi trong sinh tử,
Um,
nên bây
they
giờ ta lại
and
chuyển
then when we
ta
start
lại
learning
nói
Buddhism,
muốn trừ
we
trừ
treat them as enemy,
trừ độc,
um, that always lead us into birth and
cái
death. So we tend to want to
như là
um,
cái lời sách tấn của tổ sư
eradicate them.
hay là lời trong kinh Đức Phật cũng giảng dạy
Um,
để
but
cho
the
ta
Buddha and the patriarch in their
đừng có phập phồng.
discourses told us
Nên
that
Đức Phật phải phơi
um,
hiện ra nói cái bệnh để cho mình thấy,
gave us a lot of
cũng cho
skillful means
nói
to
cái pháp
point out the
trên cái
sickness
Đức Phật
for us to
thì
see.
cũng phải nói cái pháp đối trị để
Um,
cho mình
they just give out
phương tiện á,
a treatment
và thực
depending
hiện
on our sickness for us to
một
practice.
khi mình ta đã tin tự tánh rồi.
And this method is
Cái
the
phương
direct
pháp trực
method
gọi là phương pháp
for
trực
the
thiền á,
people that
thì
believe in their
đơn giản
mind.
thôi, và chúng công của mình á đơn giản chỉ để
And this method focuses
tập
on
khí tịnh,
the practice.
thì
And the practice
cũng tập khí
is when we
cũng vọng
ask
tưởng
the question and raise
phân
the
biệt,
doubt,
thì không màng tới
even though we
vọng
still
tưởng,
have our
không màng
karmic
tới phân
habits
biệt
and
mà cứ suy nghĩ
uh,
cho mình thấy
illusions and
trên cái công phu thiền
differentiation, but
giống mình
instead
hút
of
thuốc vậy,
worrying about them,
uống
we
được
just focus on our
cái
practice,
phương tiện trị
just like taking medicine
cái cách để điều trị
to
cho
treat
bệnh
our sickness.
thì mình có uống thuốc thì mình mới có thuyên giải,
Only when we are willing to take the
thì nếu
medicine,
mình
then
cứ uống thuốc thôi
it will
mà không
help
chịu
with
uống cái
our
thuốc đó,
disease.
mới biết thuốc mà nói phải có cái phản ứng không
Um,
có thể nào
we
mà
have to really
cái
take
phản
the
ứng
medicine to see the
mà không có
benefits.
chịu uống
Um,
và không có chịu
we
tăng
cannot
cái tốc
just
độ điều
learn
trị
about a medicine and
liều
hope
lượng
to get
lý
the benefit
thì không thể nào cải
from it.
thiện cái bệnh, cái bệnh trên thân mình á,
We also have to
đơn
follow
giản
the advice of
không
the
cần tới
doctor. So
thì
the sickness from the bodily sickness is still
thì giờ
simple
tu chúng
compared
ta
to the sickness
phải
of
đi
birth
sát
and
với
death.
cái chánh pháp,
Our practice
với
have to go
những kiến
align
thức,
with
những
the
bài
right
giảng
Dharma,
để giúp chúng ta
And we need to rely on the wise teachers and the experienced practitioners to help us maintain the belief in the mind and practice diligently and not letting our consciousness and illusions and afflictions control us or um, terrorize us. Instead, just always return to the practice. Doesn't matter um, how how many illusory thoughts we have. Keep asking the question and raise the doubt. That is the topic for this week. Anybody has any questions about the practice um, right now, please feel free to bring up your question. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Sư cô Huệ Đạt, please. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. Đi thầy and everyone. She asked when she practiced, she keep falling into a type of mental state. I couldn't hear it clearly. Thầy said it. Thầy said it's because of our karmic habits. We we still in we are still controlled by our ignorance and attachment. So doesn't matter how it is, you just have to practice diligently, ask the question clearly and sincerely. Such asking automatically stimulate the doubt and also prolong the doubt. And Master Lai Hua said, when such cause of doubt is prolonged and also with the support of the wise teachers and the teachings of the Buddha and the patriot will help us strengthen our belief in the mind. Only with the practice, then we'll be able to digest um, the teachings of the Buddha and the patriot, and it will lead us to increase more belief in the mind. And the more we believe, the more we will practice, because we attach to gaining something, or seeking things and fearing things. Even our desire to stop illusory thoughts, that is also an object of seeking. So if once the sickness of the mind ends, then all of the illusory thought generated from the mind also end. We have to and treat the root cause of the disease. Just like when the sick eye see the floaters in the space, instead of trying to get rid of the floaters in the space, we have to treat the eye until it gets healthy. So when we are practice, we are actually taking medicine and treating the disease. We don't need to seek anything. Um, our deluded mind created a lot of state for us to see, and we fall into those traps. But this kind of sickness has been like that for countless lives. So those Doesn't matter what you see. Um, just like the Buddha said, when your eye is sick and you see the floaters in the space, um, so we learn that from the Buddha, and we know that we should treat the eyes, but still our habits of keep believing in the things that the sick eye is seeing, it leads us to feel fearful. So those are the sick of the eye. Just like the sickness of the mind, we tend to have um tend to be affected by those affliction and illusory thoughts, even though we already know from the teachings of the Buddha, those are the wrong feelings of the deluded mind. It's because our practice is not strong enough while our deluded feeling is still very strong. That's why um, we need to practice further, just like we need to take the medicine more, and with the support of the wise teachers that keep reminding us to return to the practice. There's nothing to gain, nothing to seek, nothing to fear. Our true mind already complete and have everything. So we just need to return to the practice until we realize the self nature. Anything else that we see or differentiate, we don't need to focus on them. Continue to ask the question clearly. Um, you understand um, what I'm saying? Uh, Vô pháp tuệ. Yes.
Dạ, Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích
Namo
Ca Mâu Ni Phật.
Shakyamuni Buddha.
Kính bạch trên Đức Thầy,
Dear
kính thưa
Thầy,
cùng
dear
toàn
all
thể Phật
teachers
tử
and
tham.
all practitioners.
À, kính thỉnh Thầy từ bi khai thị về cái vấn đề
Thầy, can you please uh,
và làm
talked
sao để
about
mình
the
có thể
uh, about get rid of
được
attachment,
thiên sư mà mình theo
and
dõi
how
giúp mình phá được.
can we get
Tại vì thực
our the
ra
teacher that we follow to help us
con
to
thì luôn
overcome our attachment.
nương theo
Um,
thầy, à,
in
từ
reality,
nhỏ
we
thầy dạy gì mình làm
always
đó.
follow you, listen to your
Thì
teachings.
nó cũng giống như là giới luật mình cứ nắm như
It's
vậy
just
mình
like
hành,
us
nhưng
following
mà thầy
the
chỉ dẫn
precepts.
mình đâu có nghe.
Um,
Rồi cùng cái cảnh cánh duyên á,
but
thì mình thuận thì
when we listen to
mình
other
chấp
teacher, we
nhận,
don't listen to
nhưng
them.
mà khi
Or
mà
when we have
nó
to face the
dẫn đến
external
mình không
conditions,
thuận
if they go
thì
along with us,
không thế
with
nào
our
mình giải thích
likings, then
được.
we feel fine. But
Kính
if
thỉnh
we
thầy từ bi
go
khai thị
against
và
our liking,
phát phóng cho chúng con
we
cái điểm
it
này.
can
Dạ.
we can generate a lot of attachment and um dislikes. Could you please give us advice on this? Thank you, Thầy. Thầy said, uh, the Buddha taught us um, there was one of his great disciples asked him, when you enter nirvana, who should we go to as a teacher? The the Buddha said you have to use the precepts as the teacher. The precept, if the precept still alive, then Buddhism still alive. If the precepts die, then Buddhism will die as well. So that is the skillful means of the Buddha for the voice hearer view, for the voice hearer vehicle. in order for them to reach liberation. They have to follow the principles and the precepts regarding the body to reach the liberation. Same thing, the patriots give out the rules um, to keep us in such rules, and they are like the defense to protect us. So those skillful means, when they have forms, they are considered indirect. Skillful means they are like a mode to help us abide to. But the self nature doesn't have a form, cannot be talked about, is not fathomable. It is not talking about, cannot be talked about. So the Buddha had to give out other skillful means, you know. Um, but a lot of people later on kind of like distort those skillful means, um, and later on, long time later on, when all of those um, structure get distorted, eventually Buddhism will be gone. The Buddha explained about the sun using the words, the sun is round, hot. It bring over life. Um, it generate a sunlight. But if we attach to those words, round, hot, full of life, and consider that as the sun is wrong, that those are just skillful means. The precepts is to help lead us into concentration, and concentration lead us to wisdom. So at first, they use the precepts um, to lead people into one place, and then after that, once they have the practice, they will be able to reflect, and once they reach the self nature, they will be able to help themselves and sentient being. So those precepts are like a skillful means of the Buddha. Same thing for our practice. The purpose of the practice is to see the self nature. We know that our karmic habits, ignorance, and attachment are really thick. Therefore, we have to rely on the right the Dharma, or rely on the triple gems, and depending on the sickness, the Buddha and the patriot give out the skillful means, um, not because of their own feelings or because of attachment or ignorance. We have to rely on the Dharma to practice. Um, when we choose a teacher, that teacher is a representative of the triple gem, the Dharma, to lead us. We can refer to those as take refuge in the four jewels. That person is very important. He help us to follow the precepts. If your teacher pass away, uh, you might have to follow another teacher. Or if your teacher turn out to become not a good teacher anymore, you have to go find a good teacher to follow. Um, So if the teacher is not clear on the Dharma and cannot teach you well, you have to uh, first you have to rely on the right Dharma. And second, if you can, then you need to find the right teacher to teach you the Dharma. But in reality, the self-teacher has no discrimination. It's beyond time and space. Everybody can be wise teachers. And once you are not um, controlled by comparison and discrimination, that means your practice reach its highest level. Because of our karmic habits, we always get controlled by our ignorance and attachment. Even though we realize them, we still, you know, get affected by them. We keep improve and then get regress a lot of times, but doesn't matter um, how much back and forth we have to go. We still need to continue with the practice. Have to be wise and rely on the triple gems. Or a lot of wise teachers always remind us to of the self island. Um, always stand up from our mistakes, or when even when the Buddha taught us, you have to light up our own torch to continue to go. So we rely on the teacher, the patriot, and other practitioners as a support for us to um, continue on our path to enlightenment. So it's all up to us. It's all up to our belief in ourself, our mind, belief in the self nature, not believe in the ignorance and attachment. I always remember the important thing is transcend attachment. Whatever we do or however we treat other people, always remember uh, overcome attachment is the main thing. Lots of people claim that they are the right Dharma. We have to be able to discern ourselves and not just blindly go by what other people claim, because that would be a wrong belief, because we just follow the form and the name instead of uh, go to the go on the path to the self nature. Only our sincere or genuine practice will help lead us to open the wisdom eye. If we don't practice well, sincerely, we keep running in a circle, just like a dog, keep running in a circle, chasing his tail due to our ignorance. Uh, I I am grateful for your teaching, thầy. Chánh kiến. When we talk about right view,
cái chánh kiến thì khi mà nói về cái chánh kiến là mình nhìn ra được cái chánh pháp
it means we are able to discern the right Dharma. And the right Dharma, like you just say, is to be able to get rid of attachment. However, we normally believe in the Dharma than believe in our own true mind. Therefore, when we practice, we tend to follow our own idea instead of follow liberation. Therefore, a lot of time we keep seeing other people mistakes, seeing when people share stuff, we think they are fearful, they are arrogant, etc. And when we do that, we are losing our practice ourselves. And I keep falling into that mistake. I'm not sure how I can overcome this obstacle um, to be able to go along with everyone else on the practice instead of keeping keeping judging each other on our mistakes. Could you please talk more about this? Thank you, Thầy. The fundamental thing is ask the question, raise the doubt. Just always keep in mind the basic thing in the book of how to practice Zen. Overcome attachment, um, overcome the object of gaining, object of seeking, the object of fearing. Don't let our mind attach to the nothingness and have to always believe in the true mind. The seed is doubt, the fruit is enlightenment. Even when and the Zen, ultimately we have to reach enlightenment. Even when we practice and all of a sudden we are able to understand any of the teachings of the Buddha, we cannot stop there. We have to continue until we reach enlightenment. That is to get rid of attachment. That is the right view of the practitioner. All of us, always have judgment, have differentiation. That is very common. Only when we are enlightened, when then we will be able to end those differentiation. Um, we have to always keep the practice, always nurture the seed of doubt and prolong that seed, that doubt. When we raise a discriminative thought, we are losing the practice. So we have to return to the practice. Don't be scared of our illusion, our affliction. Uh, the most thing we have to worry about is to lose our practice, because if we lose the practice, we will continue to be in the samsara. If we don't keep the practice, we will losing sleep because of those illusions, affliction. Don't be fool and let those lead us to the bad realms, we have been led by those ignorance and attachment into those bad realms for countless lives. Now that we already um, see through them, we have to find a way to say goodbye to them. And the way to do that is to ask the question, raise the doubt. Even though they still follow us, we still see other people mistakes, etc. But don't forget the practice. Don't forget about ask the question and raise the doubt. We only need to be scared of losing the practice. Keep ask the question, raise the doubt. We don't need to fear the other thoughts, or don't need to want to get rid of them. um, we have to also recontemplate, those obstacles, those challenges. They are also the conditions for us to develop further. If all the external conditions just go along with what we want, we instead will raise more attachment. If everything go along with what we likes, you know, you can look back into your life since you're a child. Everybody, if your family and everyone just go with what you want, you might not be able to practice well because of we have to thank them because they help us realize our attachment and ignorance and help pushing us on our practice. So the more we practice, the more we will be grateful to all of those wise teachers, the wise teachers that create the obstacle conditions. Miss Tam, please.
Dạ thưa thầy, kính thưa thầy và kính thưa
Dear Thầy, dear everyone.
Con không biết tại sao mấy hôm nay con có cái tư duy.
Not sure the
Con
past few days
con cũng không định hỏi thầy. Thôi còn một
I have
xíu
such a thought. I wasn't gonna ask you, but I feel like I still even though this is still a little question, I still need to ask you to make sure that I practice the right way. I'm not sure why the past few days I keep thinking, what really is the self nature? Who can really understand anything about a self nature? But I keep reminding myself that I have sickness, serious sickness, so I need to keep the practice. Even though you keep reminding us, you talk a lot about everything. You probably touch everything already. What I need to do is how to keep the practice. But I'm not sure why I have such a thought, but I still keep the practice, not losing the practice. But I feel like I have a serious sickness. I have a lot of illusions. I try to be diligent, but I feel like it's not easy. Like I'm climbing up to the highest mountain, in the world. I feel like I might not even reach the top. I already lose my life. Um, but in my mind, I really want to find a way to liberate birth and death. I don't even feel clinging on to this body anymore. Not sure why I feel that way. I just want to bring up what I think in my mind. Um, whether it's right or wrong, could you please give me advice? That is still the differentiation of your consciousness. Um, it follows what you want. Like when you want to see your self nature, you start to get tired of the nature of the sentient being, and then you start to feel tired of the birth and death. We didn't know that they are actually not two different things. Just like the people who love to be in birth and death, they love their body. Now you're on the opposite side. You are tired of the ego and you want to get rid of them. That is with still the trick of the consciousness. And it find a way to control us. It is still within duality, the discrimination and the consciousness. Like the Buddha taught, nirvana has no name. Prajna has no knowledge. But because of the functions, because of the use, we establish the names. All of those are just skillful means. If we still know, still feel like there's a self nature for us to know, that is still an object of knowing. That is not enlightenment, because we still within the subject and object of knowing. If we still have a subject that see the self nature as an object of seeing, that is not seeing self nature. And as long as we are able to sweep away all of those forms, then the healthy form will manifest. Just like if we sweep away all of the sick form, then the healthy state will manifest. You cannot beat up or get rid of the body to get the healthy state to show up. So our consciousness is very smart, very active, you know. It lead us into different ways, even before we realize. It's lucky that we are still able to know that it's a discrimination of consciousness. So for other methods, they might appreciate the object of knowing, but for Patriot Zen, we only encourage people to return to a practice and keep the practice and not letting those control us. And we not keep ask the question, raise the doubt, and maintain the practice. Doesn't matter how you feel. You don't need to run away from your feeling. Just keep ask the question. Even if you feel concerned about different issues, keep ask the question and raise the doubt. Those are your karmic habits, so they always gonna keep come back on and off. What you need to do is to keep the practice and not fall into the object of gaining, seeking, and fearing. The doubt will sweep away all of those sickness of the mind. Some people will say, "Oh, I already understand that." Maybe when I ask the question, my mind sometimes generate the answers. Those are still some of the manifestations of the deluded mind. But as long as but if we practice, we have such knowledge, but if we lose the practice, we will even have other more knowledge that lead us further into the sea of birth and death. That's why we always encourage people to rely on the triple gem, the other practitioners, to not fall into the trap of those knowledge. To help us liberate from all knowledge to eventually lead us to final enlightenment. So If asked the question clearly, sincerely, the time is up. Goodbye, everyone. Namo Shakyamuni Buddha.